Hello, knife people. My name is Seth V. I'm here with the Knife Center, and it is new knives of the week time. Let's see what we got. All right, we're starting off strong this week with a bunch of news and new knives from Leatherman. And I say news because to me this is kind of a newsworthy release. These are not multi-tools from the famous American multi-tool brand. They are just knives, both fixed blades and folders. We're gonna start off with the fixed blades. This right here is the Trac, that's T-R-A-C. It is a 4.2-inch blade of Magna Cut steel made in the USA. This knife is I would say kind of just a do-it-all belt knife, companion knife, good outdoors blade, maybe even a pretty efficient hunting knife because the hollow grind here is very thin and efficient for slicing geometry, I would say. Yeah, definitely nice and thin, gonna be a wicked slicer for sure. Not over generous thickness, but definitely some sturdiness there. So it's still gonna be tough enough for your outdoor tasks. I would probably hesitate to really call this a survival knife to, baton it through giant frozen pieces of wood. Maybe not made for that exactly, but for just a highly useful, efficient, but still sturdy fixed blade knife. Pretty cool offering here from Leatherman. Yeah, almost feels strange to see that Leatherman mark on the blade there on something that has no extra functions, but being a knife, it's gonna do a lot of things really well. Well, a lot of different kinds of cutting really well. The next knife though, has a little bit more multi-tool capability to it, and this is their Pioneer. Also Magna Cut, a little bit longer blade, 5 inches of it in fact. $299.95, as are all the Leatherman knives. But the kind of multi-tool capability here is coming from this little notch. It looks from a distance like just a regular part of this jimping, but this one is got a very crisp edge to strike a fire steel. So to me that says that this is meant to be a survival knife, and some other details about this kind of lead me to that conclusion as well. For one thing, it's got a flat saber grind. So unlike the hollow grind on the Trac, very high hollow grind there, slicing, toughness here. So the Pioneer definitely has more meat behind the edge. It's got the full blade thickness going all the way down towards the tip. And then kind of an interesting hybrid feature here. At the tip, it transitions very smoothly, very gradually to a hollow grind. So the tip, this tip right here is actually about as thin as the edge on that Trac. Definitely more of a precision tool there at the tip, but thickens up quickly through this bit of belly. Almost looks like a Tanto blade, It doesn't have a singular secondary point, but it's got a very quick transition there that would kind of behave the same in cuts, I think. Interesting hybrid design here. Definitely optimized for tougher tasks. This would be the one I would reach for if I was gonna baton something. Plus with that extra bit of blade length coming in at 5 inches, it's gonna span larger logs and such anyway. Let's talk about the handles. They're pretty similar on the Pioneer and the Trac. Here it's more faceted, but they are smooth G10. They're very comfortable. A little bit of a finger scallop there, very generously sized. I could see myself using this in gloves, for example. And while the handles are smooth, it's not a peel-ply G10, that bit of jimping is gonna go a ways to lock your hand in, and we've got enough of a guard there that I'm feeling super comfortable, kind of choking up on this, using it hard. I think it's gonna be a good user for sure. The last of the new Leatherman fixed blades is the Rustle. And this one to me is the most interesting. The blade shape, it leans a little bit more chef knifey, I would say. We've got a little bit of Santoku in this, a little bit of cleaver, although the blade geometry, the actual cutting geometry, is not cleaver-like at all. We've got a full flat grind, nice and thin behind the edge, definitely meant to be more of a camp kitchen knife, I would say. And also driving that home is the fact that the blade stock on the Rustle is a lot thinner than it is on the Pioneer or Trac. Definitely optimized for slicing. I could see this working, yeah, like I said, as a camp kitchen knife. I do have to use it in a pinch grip in order to get the edge all the way down to the cutting board at the heel, but it's very easy to do. I mean, even got a little bit of a rock to it, you know, if you wanted to chop some herbs or such. Yeah, I could see this working very neatly at that. MagnaCut steel. This is just 4 inches of it. And, oh, you know what? This is only $279.95. I misspoke when I said they were all $299, excuse me there. So, yeah, most affordable new Leatherman knife is this Rustle. Pretty sweet. I also like the little extra pop of color here on this version. Looks like they've filled in the Leatherman logo with a bit of orange, maybe ceramic. Very cool. Smooth G10 handles on this as well. And before we move on to the folders, let's talk about the sheaths. The Rustle comes with Kydex, snaps in with great retention. Really like how that feels. Crisp, pops in and out easily. It does not come with any sort of belt attachment, and somewhat frustratingly, it's not going to fit your standard tech lock unless you give it the old rotation. So if you wanted to carry this on your belt, you'd need to cant it at an angle, or just use a more kind of modular strap system, or however you want to attach this. I do think though that Leatherman was aiming this to be carried in a pack. As a camp kitchen knife, I don't know that I'd even really want to carry it on my belt. Maybe this is the sort of thing you
Depends on how much you're cooking.
Yeah, and how mobile you want to be while you're doing it. But anyway, Kydex on the Rustle. The Pioneer is going to come with this cool hybrid Kydex and leather sheath. Nice, comfortable leather for the side of the sheath that's going to be against your body. A little bit of Kydex on the front for added retention and water resistance. And then the Trac is going to come with the full leather sheath. Really nice here, kind of a cowboy leather sheath. You can have either a scout style carry through the loop there, or traditional, vertical carry on the belt from this integrated loop.
More like they use the whole cow.
Yeah, this is really thick leather, guys. This is, smells good too. All right, as for the new folders, we've got kind of a lot going on actually. So this right here, the drop point one, is the Blazer. It is $299.95, MagnaCut steel, fully USA made, got 3.2 inches of blade, steel handles, a wire pocket clip, or kind of a flat wire, I think they're calling it, and I'll talk about that more in a minute, and a bit of a spin on the compression style lock. So they are calling this the compression wedge lock, and it is actually different from a compression lock because it's using this bar here that you can actually see through the opposite side of the handle. That is what is interfacing between the stop block here at the spine and the tang of the blade. So a compression lock uses the liner itself to lock up the blade. This is using this attached bar to accomplish that same kind of mechanical operation. And it feels and operates a little differently than a Spyderco compression lock, for example. For one thing, I'm not really able to get any of these to freely swing closed when you disengage the lock. It's still easy to disengage, you just need to press the button, push it closed with the finger or other hand there. So that's one difference from compression locks you might be imagining. Yeah, not really able to swing it closed, but doesn't mean it's hard to disengage at all. And the detent force is also a little softer than the detents on compression locks you may be familiar with. So yeah, it's Leatherman's own system. It is patent pending, and it's cool that they're bringing this new thing to the market. As you can see, we've got a nice drop point blade here. The handle is very simple. Finger scallop keeps me in place. There's a nice kind of patch here for choking up using in a pinch grip. I find this to be very comfortable. You know, it's a simple utilitarian knife design. Leatherman, though they have innovated with the lock, they are not reinventing the wheel with these designs. They are very broadly useful. The blade is nicely hollow ground, very keen, very thin behind the edge. Definitely going to be a slicer. And these thumb studs, they appear to be removable with this little set screw here. They're kind of a oval shape, a little bit of an angle to them to catch your finger. Yeah, I find them a decent compromise between, you know, ease of use and also keeping a fairly low profile when the knife is closed. And this pocket clip. The pocket clip might actually be my favorite thing about these knives, both because of the implementation. It's ambidextrous, kind of attaches from the top there. You could easily flip it around. And also because of how thick these flat wires are. You know, wire clips have a reputation for feeling springy, for feeling flimsy even. This is about the stiffest, sturdiest wire clip I have ever seen. It has plenty of spring retention to keep it in your pocket, and it doesn't wiggle around as much as a typical wire clip. It's got a little bit of spring to it, but it definitely feels sturdier than the round wire clips you'll see on other knives. Pretty cool knives from Leatherman. Very interesting to see Leatherman just jumping into the deep end of knife manufacturing with this release. And we've got one more to talk about. This right here is the Glider. $299.95. Magna cut steel, made in the USA, just like everything else on the table from Leatherman today. This one's a little bit smaller, blade length of just 3 inches, and definitely seems more optimized for EDC utility cutting. You know, with that sheep's foot blade, that point is going to be perfect for box cutting, cutting out labels, anything you want to do, precision work with the tip. One other detail that separates it from the Blazer is the crowned spine on this one. Very nice radius there, comfortable for the thumb. I really like the colors on this version too. Bit more vibrancy here. Got the green and the yellow.
I like how it's David's colors, but it's reversed Tanto.
This is a sheep's foot, Thomas. How dare you? These have washers in the pivot. They're not ball bearings. So maybe after they break in, you'll be able to flick them closed. But for now, yeah, requires a little bit of an assist from that finger there. The blade on this is also hollow ground, and there's a very subtle two-tone finish going on with brushed satin finish on the flats, and then kind of a blasted or lightly stonewash finish through the actual grind itself. Looks pretty nice. Yeah, this is a really cool combination, and the colors on this version are really working for me. The clip is exactly the same as the Blazer, that tougher, sturdier wire clip I was talking about. And like the Blazer, it also has an integrated lanyard hole in the handle scales there. Pretty cool the way they've constructed this. There's no backspacers or even a traditional stop pin to speak of. Just 2 milled handle scales that come together and that also provide the kind of stop pin functionality for the lock to work. And as I'm looking at this angle, I'm also noticing some extensive internal milling to lighten the weight, which I can feel actually. These are stainless steel handles, and it's got a little bit of gravity to it, but it's definitely lighter than I was expecting from the description at least. So they have lightened these up. They have a pretty decent balance, but definitely feels sturdy, like I imagine you would want a Leatherman knife to feel. One last thing to mention on these Leatherman knives, both of the folders are going to come with these little extras. You have a Leatherman proprietary bit here with a T6 and T8 for your knife adjustment, disassembly, and maintenance. And if you unspool it from the actual lanyard line there, it is going to accept 1/4 inch bits, and you could even kind of use this as your impromptu driver to work on your knife. Nice little feature. I guess Leatherman can't help themselves. They got to work in some multi-tool functionality, and you know, that's what we love about them anyway, right? And speaking of taking knives apart, we've got here the new Roxon Mini Flex Companion. This comes in at $39.99 at the moment, and it is densely packed with tools. It's only about the size of like a pack of gum, and it has 8 tools that come preloaded. If you know Roxon tools, you know that the tool set can easily and quickly be changed to accept a number of their Flex system tools. Let me show you what's on here right out of the box though. We have a one-hand openable knife, as I put the other tools back in, kind of a sheep's foot blade. So from the knife, we can go to the other tools. Roxons have this really cool feature where if you push up on the little bar lock, it kind of presents all the tools to you so you can get to them one-handed if you need to. Go next in line from the blade is this package opener slash citrus peeler. Next up is your classic opener tool, bottle opener. It's got a little bit of an edge to it, so this could even be a can opener. Scissors, the last of the main tools. Oops, wrong way. There we go. Nice integrated spring to them. Fairly short jaws, but I've used Roxon scissors before. They are definitely nicely made and will cut paper and paracord very cleanly. On the outside of the tool, you've got a pair of tweezers, slide in kind of Victorinox style to the end, and also a toothpick. We still got more features to talk about because this also has an accessory lock or secondary lock that keeps the tools closed, so once that's engaged, I'm not able to open anything. Nice bit of safety if you're carrying this in a bag or loose in a pocket. And then the last big feature is the fact that you can swap tools. So that lock that you use to present the tools with, if you push it to the unlocking position and then push it even a little further, it's gonna snap into a detent there that allows you to remove the tools. And the Mini Flex Companion actually comes with a spare tool right out of the box. Comes with this little guy, combination nail file and ruler slash screwdriver slash pry tool. If you wanted to go bladeless on your multi-tool, you could just remove the blade, put this little guy on, feed it into and around the post that holds all the tools, close it up, snap that lock closed, and there you go. New tool is installed and ready to work. That goes with all of the internal tools here. Any of the small tools are gonna fit this thing and allow you to spec your tool to meet your needs. You know, this is the multi-tool dream that people have been begging other companies to make for as long as I've been buying multi-tools. Roxon did it. This is a super simple, solid system. There's nothing else out there like it. It really does work.
Driver on the back.
Oh yeah! Thank you, Thomas. We didn't talk about that 8th tool there. Look at this. We've got a driver on the back. And unlike the full-size tool, this is a little 4mm bit holder. So it's gonna work with any of your micro bits. It is locked in place by a liner lock. There you go, folds up. Thanks for catching that, Thomas. And now for something completely different. This right here is the Heretic Manticore E with the Cell Shade Cerakote finish. This thing is so cool. It has jumped straight out of the pages of a comic book into real life, and it feels like it too. Very satisfying to use. Heretic is making some of the best OTFs around, and in my opinion, the very best finished ones. Like this cell shading thing that they're doing right now is awesome. So much personality. This is the kind of knife that like you're just gonna wanna carry to show off, let alone to use. Although if you are gonna use it, it's gonna work quite well for you with a 3-inch Magna Cut blade and this kind of grenade grip that adds a bit of traction. Very nice. Drop point, recurved edge. You know, it's not the thin, well actually, it's pretty decently thin behind the edge, although it thickens up quite quickly with this kind of saber-ish grind. Yeah, not gonna be the highest performance slicer on the table, but definitely gonna get cutting done. And thanks to that recurve, I think it's gonna work pretty aggressively too. Yeah, so snappy. This cell shading though is why you would get this knife. It comes in at $350, and they've gone to such great detail here. Lots of hand-done steps, tiny paintbrushes. I don't know how they're applying this finish, but they're very neatly done. Even like, look at the screws there. The hardware have just a little pop of the white coming through to highlight the kind of Torx pattern and make them pop. I mean, it really does look like it's just coming off the page of a comic book. The neon color, the cell shading, so cool. I hope that Heretic never stops making these knives because the cell shading versions are my favorite. As long as we're talking about USA made tactical-ish folders, right here we have a new version of the ZT-44. This is, of course, ZT's first manual button lock flipper, and it's in all black now. That's the big change here. The materials are the same, so we've still got titanium handles, S45VN blade steel, and a slightly higher price of $356 to the original's $340. The 44 is, I think, ZT's best EDC knife? Question mark? It is to me, at least. The combination of the very kind of perfectly executed drop point blade, the high flat grind, the simple but very secure feeling handle, the weight of the thing, you know, with the titanium, it's very nicely balanced. And then of course the action. ZT worked pretty hard on this button lock to give it this snappiness and smoothness that you want from a system like this. And man, is it nice to use. Almost has like an auto close function. As long as you're holding this at the right angle, you just push the button. Ah, there we go, screwed it up. Try again. As long as you're holding it at the right angle, you push the button.
It works, trust us.
The camera. Not only does it add 15 pounds, there we go. It adds more knife misfires. See, I just needed to use my left hand for some reason. Anyway, it's really satisfying to use. The closing and opening will have you just clacking away, annoying everyone else around you. Unless they're knife people, then they'll just be jealous. Next up is the latest version of the Benchmade Bailout. We've got MagnaCut steel and burnt orange, what are they calling this? Burnt bronze handles. They're made from aluminum, but the color is burnt bronze. This kind of ties it in with the run of 940s they did with the same configuration. Pretty sweet. I think that it's a combination that looks really good. I believe this is the first Bailout in MagnaCut. So if you've been waiting on MagnaCut and a Bailout, here is the knife for you. We pulled the version with partial serrations just to show the partial serrations a little love. They don't often make it on the table, so we thought we'd show it off today, but of course it's also available without them. Price on these, both versions, is gonna be $350. And yeah, it's a Bailout. I mean, at this point, you've probably seen this knife before. You know what it does well. It's slim, it's lightweight, it's super solid with Benchmade's Axis lock. It's kind of like the tactical bug out. I actually personally prefer it to the bug out. I think it has a bit more character to it, a bit more of a knife that I would reach for if I was gonna carry, you know, a Benchmade folder of choice. And yeah, that Tanto blade too is particularly nice. It still has the aggressive Tanto character with the very sharp and useful secondary point there, but it's got a nice kind of drop point spine to it that gives it an all-around EDC character that I find to be very, very useful. This version, unlike the original Bailouts, does not have a glass breaker on the actual bail, which some I think find a little more comfortable in hand. And I really like the kind of stretched diamond plate pattern on the handles there. It makes it a little smoother underneath the pocket clip where you want some extra smoothness, but then gives you a little bit more aggressive traction here up towards the front of the knife where you're actually manipulating the thing, you know, using your fingers to turn it and hold it and push it in all the right directions. The Bailout is really cool. I don't want to say that the Bug Out kind of outshines it, because I do think there's a lot of fans of the Bailout out there, but yeah, this is a really, really sweet knife.
So Bug Out's a hiking knife. This one does cross country.
Yeah, or even like CrossFit, you know what I mean. Ultralight, ultra strong. Yeah, that made sense in my head. Yeah. Speaking of aluminum, what we've got here is a new distributor exclusive version of the Spyderco Smock. And this is my favorite aluminum version of this yet. The last one that came through was kind of all black. This one, it looks even better in person. We've got a kind of a raw aluminum finished handle scales, nice clean satin finish on the blade, vertical satin there, and then grind satin on the grind. Really, really reflective. This thing is just an absolute pleasure to behold as you kind of move it around in the light. Sort of matte finish on the handle, shiny. I don't know, it's really working for me. These come in at $217.50. They feature CruWear steel, and they have Spyderco's button actuated compression lock. Internally, it works exactly like the other compression locks, but they've kind of attached a button which pushes through the scale, and it makes it even easier to use. Flipper works great. You can flick it open if you can manage to get your finger into this slightly smaller than average Spidey hole. They have an added detent in here to keep it from flopping open once you depress the button in the closed position, but it's still just a detent, so it's pretty easy to overcome and kind of do a kinetic opening if you want. Some people even remove that detent. It does not affect the lock security or anything like that. So if you are hungry for the absolute most fidget-friendly Spyderco out there, I think the Smock has probably got to be your pick. There's more ways to deploy it. The button compression lock feels amazing. Yeah, this is sweet. And even though the ergonomics of the Smock have never exactly connected with me, I really, really like the blade grind and blade shape on this. Still makes it an incredible user. It's hollow ground, so you get that nice keenness behind the edge for good slicing. Nice reverse tanto. This I'm gonna just go ahead and call it reverse tanto. I think it qualifies.
Attaboy.
Very utilitarian blade shape. Very cool. These are limited. I would grab one now. The last batch sold through in a flash. These are gonna move too. Next up is a new version of my favorite Spyderco period. That's gonna be the Stretch 2 XL. This one features their proprietary Spy 27 blade steel and comes in at $150. The Stretch 2 XL is not Spyderco's flashiest knife. It's not their most fidget friendly, but I do think it is their best worker. To me, you know, that's just my opinion, but I think this is kind of the most refined expression of Spyderco's signature approach to knife utility, folding knife utility, if you will. They've packed in an incredible amount of edge into an ultralight package. These are just 2.7 ounces and have 4 inches of blade. You know, you've also got their signature features like the forward finger choil that lets you choke up, get really close to the edge for, you know, your push cuts, your detail work. It's got a full flat grind for efficient cutting. It's got a back lock, which has a great self-close, which is a safety feature I really appreciate. Also, simple and sturdy, naturally ambidextrous. Yeah, this is just a knife that's gonna work for the widest group of people for a price that is not too much to ask. And yeah, that's kind of what makes it my favorite. It also helps that it's one of the most comfortable knives they make. Here, there are no liners in this knife. That's part of what gives it its ultra light, you know, feel. But the trade-off for that is there's a little bit of springiness to the handle, but it does not make the handle any less strong, you know? It still holds up. It just kind of flexes a little bit as you use it. It's perfectly stable in the direction of a cut, which is what you want out of a knife. So I know some people don't like the all plastic handles. They find them a little squishy. I get that, but I disagree. I really like them. And you know, the trade-off is you get a ton of knife for the weight. So that's a compromise I'm willing to make. And Spyderco has proven over decades that they make these plastic handled knives work just as hard as anything else out there. All right, next, a bunch of blue knives, the first of which are gonna come from Vosteed. This wild thing here is the Naga. This is a button actuated compression style lock. Very smooth to operate. This version has S35VN blade steel and micarta handles and comes in at $139. And they had fun with this one for sure. Look at this blade. Dramatic clip point, big old sweeping belly here, wide and wild. I would say that this was probably inspired by, you know, Spanish navajas. Definitely got a bit of the kind of drop, almost a pistol grip to the end of the handle there, like a traditional navaja. Comfortable in hand, not too small. That I'm definitely comfortable full fisting this thing. The finger choil is a little small to like give it that same grip, but in a pinch grip for me, totally comfortable using it. We've got a deep carry wire clip. Well, not quite deep carry. You can have just a little bit sticking out. It is ambidextrous though. Man, really snappy action here. And you can even use the kind of milled fuller in the blade to reverse flick, although it's a little harder to get traction. There we go. Yeah, very fidget friendly. Super cool. This comes in a bunch of flavors at the moment. I believe they all have S35VN steel, but you know, different handle configurations. Take your pick. This is a wild one. You're gonna know just from looking at it if it suits you. And if it does, you're gonna get a really high quality knife. Vosteed definitely delivers. Next up is the Vosteed Vombat. This one I'm pretty excited about. They are kind of launching this as a whole new platform of knives. It comes in 2 blade shapes right now. I suspect there'll be more coming soon. I pulled the Zulu blade, they're calling it. It's kind of a spear point, drop point thing going on. I can see what they mean with the Zulu spear. I think it's a pretty handsome blade, and actually I pulled it because I wanted to make this comparison on camera. Reach into the library here for the Kizer Drop Bear. Vosteed, you know, is not saying that they're aiming this squarely at the drop bear, but I think it competes rather nicely with it. Overall, it's a bit shorter. You got a bit less blade here with just 2.9 inches to the drop bears, slightly over 3. But the handle accommodates just about as much grip. It is a little shorter, but I don't know, it doesn't feel small at all. It's not compromised. So all of the Vosteed Vombats are gonna come in at $139. And the thing that makes this kind of a platform is the fact that these scales are hot swappable. So you don't need to disassemble the whole knife just to change the handle scales. You can remove the hardware that holds them in. The knife itself is gonna stay together and operate perfectly fine without them. And then you can just slap on some new scales. You don't have to tweak the pivot. You don't have to change anything. You can see on the show side, it actually hides the pivot hardware. The scales just kind of go right over it. But very thoughtfully, Vosteed have included a small kind of peephole there to let you get at the pivot in case you need to adjust it. Pretty sweet. I mean, adjusting the pivot is not something I do often, but if it does get loose, you definitely want to be able to do it. So they've allowed you to do that without having to take your scales off again to get to it. The implementation of the crossbar lock here is very nicely done. It's got adjustable spring tension, kind of like the Kizer clutch lock. But another thing they're doing differently is there is there's like a bulge in the center of the crossbar, and it's gonna be really hard to see, even in close-up. So you might just have to take my word for it, but there's a bulge in the center of the crossbar lock, and they're saying that that helps with smoothness and with strength. I haven't tested them back to back, so I'll just take Vosteed's word for it, but you know, it's cool that they are delivering innovations on this kind of open source or off-patent lock type now, still giving their customers kind of something extra for going with Vosteed, and I really appreciate that. Really snappy action there. This is just a do-it-all knife, just at the right size. I love that the blade length is right under 3 inches. Yeah, this is gonna become one of my new most recommended knives, I think. It's just, you know, the fact you can pick your handle scales, pick your blade shape. A lot of people are gonna connect with this knife and make it their own. I think it's gonna work really well for them. Next up, from Kizer, we have a bunch of stuff to talk about. This right here is the Meteora, an all-new design from Kizer, 3.2 inches of blade, Nitro V steel, $69.85. This is designed by Evgeny Bulichev. Forgive me, I'm sure that was wrong, but we tried our best here at KnifeCenter. The knife though, this is very comfortable, I would say. I really like the flowing design of it. Nice sculpted handle, really sits into the hammer grip nicely, supports your, you know, the kind of pressure of your palm with that nice curve, drops the tip nicely. Yeah, this feels like a worker for sure. And the Richlight handles are very subtle in their coloration, but really nice. Bit of purple, bit of black. I think it works really well, and they've kind of matched the thumb stud to it on this version. Super snappy action, liner lock, ball bearings, smooth drop shut. Whew. Yeah, Kizer has been really killing it lately with kind of everything about their new releases, you know, from the action to the materials to the designs. They've always been great, but lately I do feel like they're kind of leveling up. Both the value that they offer for the money and just the sheer quality of the knives themselves. They really have never been better. And there's no Kizer that I would not hesitate to recommend, you know, if it speaks to you. So this is another cool option here. Let's see, can I get the heel down on a cutting board? Yeah, if I hold it in a pinch grip, I can just about, yeah, I can get the whole thing down. That makes it a nice little impromptu food prep knife. Ooh, and a front flipper too. Let's see if I can do it for the first time on camera. No
You're
problem.
not David, we're less impressed.
All right, next up, this is the Ara. We've got 2 versions to show off here. So the one on the bottom is going to have S45 VN steel, titanium handles, gold flake carbon fiber inlays, and it's going to come in at $159. The top has titanium, crystallized titanium inlays, S45 VN steel, and comes in at $199. You can see a bit of the design heritage of the Kizer Milita in this knife with the way the inlay is implemented. Very cool, kind of ties it into that product family, if you will. Action is super nice. This is a liner lock, also running on bearings. Nice and slim though. This is more of a, I don't know, kind of like a stylish gents folder, perhaps. Definitely a good EDC knife as well, but there's a lot of flair to this with kind of the harpoon tip and the curvature to the handle and the overall slimness. Really nicely done. Milled titanium pocket clip as well. Great action. You know, the triangular shape of this hole makes it a little more awkward to use to just roll open slowly. You can definitely do it. It's big enough to accommodate that, but I'm feeling more comfortable just kind of flicking this thing open. So I think that's how most people are going to use it. Really cool new design from collaborative design from Jonathan Stiles and Paul Munko. All right, the last new Kizer is this, the Skinner. And we pulled the one in Ultim so you could see through it in all its skeletonized glory there. Very cool. This was designed by Machez Torbe. Oh, even worse than the last one.
We're just not good with names.
Still, names are important. We say them when we can. Anyway, this one comes in at $79.85. Got a cool kind of Kiradashi blade shape. tiny bit of curvature to this edge though, so it's not a true Wharncliffe-esque, perfectly straight Kiridashi shape. A little bit of belly, which is gonna make it, I think, more useful on a cutting board or against a surface.
I think it makes it a reverse tanto.
I don't know, that would be a weird tanto. I'm gonna say no on this one, but I don't know, we'll let the comments decide.
Everyone's welcome at reverse tanto land.
It's not just in Ultim. For you Ultim haters out there, it also comes in carbon fiber, looks like. Perhaps some G10 as well. Very, very comfortable actually, despite the quite angular shape. I like the little depression here on the handle that kind of guides your thumb into the jimping. Supports a, what do they call this? The saber grip quite nicely. Finger choil, a little small for a hammer grip, but perfect for a pinch grip. And I like that the slight kind of step down to the handle still gives you a decently dropped point. So it's leading with the tip, but not, doesn't feel like you're kind of swinging it around as you move this thing, if that makes any sense. Action is just drama-free. Like, you can't pick up a Kizer and struggle with it. They all operate pretty much flawlessly. But yeah, my favorite thing about the Ultim handles is they allow you to see the awesome skeletonized liners in there. Just cool, you know? Now we come to the actual last Kizer on the table. This one threw me off. Being a fixed blade, we're switching genres here. This is the Hidden Agenda. Designed by Justin Lundquist, comes in at $65.95 and features AEBL steel. AEBL, that's pretty cool actually. Still a very much a beloved choice because it is one of the toughest stainless steels that you can get on a knife. Really cool in that way. It is, as you can see, a double-edged dagger. It reminds me a lot of like an OSS dagger or a lapel dagger, but kind of supersized here into a type of a boot knife proportions. 3.5 inches of blade, very flat handle, but still very grippy, very confidence inspiring. The way that they have integrated this kind of two-tone G10, these blue parts right here are actually substantial ridges that come up out of the scale and give you really good grip. It almost feels like it's rubber. I know that it isn't, but the way it grabs your thumb is surprisingly grippy and really makes this kind of nice to hold and turn, and you know, makes you just want to, I don't know, poke stuff with it, I guess. This little guy comes with a Kydex sheath, snaps in nicely. You can kind of see how substantial those ridges are by the fact that they've molded their way through the Kydex to the other side, so pretty cool. Careful pushing off from the Kydex sheath because this is a double-edged blade. So yeah, a true boot dagger. Next up are a couple of custom knives from one of my favorite new makers. This right here is the Skipper from Sliwkosky knives. Boy, another name we're gonna butcher on the channel, but the knives speak for themselves in this case. Jacob is a custom maker out of Poland who hand grinds all of these in his small shop. We picked these up actually at Blade Show, but they're sort of just hitting the site now. He's got a really great eye for traditional knife forms, but he's kind of executing and elevating them with, you know, very high-end modern materials, just like an extreme precision to his grinds and to his part making and assembly that is hard not to appreciate. This features 3 inches of L-Max steel, machined copper camo fat carbon handles with a lanyard bead to match, and comes in at $330, which, if you ask me, is kind of a bargain given the fact that this is a completely unique one-off knife that was made almost completely by hand. The sheath on these, this is a pocket fixed blade. So it comes with this nice leather sheath with a titanium clip for pocket carry. And yeah, his skipper pattern is an EDC fixie. Man, it is just so nicely done. Beautiful blade shape. I would call this like a modified Wharncliffe. I think it's got enough precision at the tip to earn its Wharncliffe moniker, but plenty of belly to give you some sweeping slicing ability. These are hollow ground. They are quite thin behind the edge. And in LMAX steel, that edge is gonna last a good long time. Very kind of reassuring weight to these with the full tank construction. They definitely don't tip out of your hand, which is, I think, what you want in a pocket fixed blade. And the handle, I can just about get 4 fingers on it if I really crush my fingers up into the handle space. But more comfortably, I think I'd use this lanyard with my pinky. It's right in between for me. It's like a 3.5 finger knife. Your hand size, of course, will vary. Some really nice texture on these handles here. Yeah, hard to see with the fat carbon pattern, but definitely a bit of a contour to it, some nice chamfers, and just a touch of texture to give you really nice grip. Jumping from EDC pocket fixed blades to a real tactical fixed blade here. This is his Senpai. Man, look at this thing. This is just wicked cool. We've got 5.5 inches of LMAX steel, OD green, canvas micarta, handles, titanium bolsters, and this is gonna come in at $500. I think this knife, maybe more than any of the other knives we picked up from him at the show, demonstrates, what a high level he's working at. My favorite detail about this is the one-piece handle construction. I think he's milling out a pocket for this, kind of setting the blade in place and then securing it with this pin and some epoxy too to hold it in place. Really, really nice feel in the hand because of that. If it feels seamless, it's because it is. It's just a single piece of micarta, kind of a nice bit, just a subtle flare at the end, tapers a touch towards the bolster, and man, that titanium bolster is so nicely done too. I'm going silent because I'm appreciating the craftsmanship here, and it is lovely. The blade, of course, is kind of Quaken-esque. I don't even have to say esque, really. This is a Quaken blade shape. Tiny bit of trailing point to the tip. High, flat grind. Thin behind the edge, but not quite as thin as the skipper. Wicked, wicked point on this. Very, very narrow, but not overly thin. So it's still got enough sturdiness to, pierce with great momentum. Yeah, this is just a wickedly cool blade. Comes with a nice leather sheath, very nicely finished, been buffed and waxed and just smooth all the way around. Yeah, very nice. Did I mention it's very nice?
Once or twice.
There are more knives. We couldn't show them all on the table here from Sliwkosky Knives. He's also got really cool Puukos. He's got a kind of modern belt knife buoy. Definitely check him out if you like custom knives. And last, we turn to slip joints with a couple of new knives from RoseCraft. This right here is the Buffalo River Jack, a trapper style blade, I would say. Maybe just kind of a classic jackknife style. Great action on this. $61.99, D2 steel, micarta, flat grind, very nicely flush. This has been, kind of finished all as one piece to hide the seams of the back spring and where it meets the blade. Satisfying walk and talk, great half stop, nice. Yeah, RoseCraft, they offer outstanding value for the craftsmanship of their slip joints, and this one is no exception. Last up, the RoseCraft Elk River Easy Open Jack. This one's pretty cool. I like the character of this. We've got a lamb's foot blade, which is almost a sheep's foot, but with a slight taper to it. You know, technicalities there, but a lamb's foot's one of those things that you know it when you see it, and this is definitely a lamb's foot. Like that other RoseCraft, we've got D2 steel, we've got the same fit and finish, but here there's actually no nail nick because of that easy open notch. This is meant to just be pinched and opened like that. That's something I always look for in a slip joint. You know, being able to just thoughtlessly kind of pinch it open and go is something I have found that really makes me carry a slip joint more. You know, if I don't have to dig my fingernail in there to get the blade out, I'm gonna actually want to use it. And this one with its lamb's foot blade is a great user. One other cool thing, check out that skull shield. Pretty sweet. Looks like the eyes have been filled with some kind of epoxy or like resin ceramic material and really polished. Yeah, once you get it in the light, really pops. Well, we've reached the end of the table, which means we've reached the end of this week's episode. Thanks for sticking to the end. Remember to click the links in the description where you can find these and thousands of other knives on our site. Don't forget about our knife rewards program, our Sezzle payment options. We've got lots of ways to help you save money on your future knife purchases with us. And with that, I've been Seth V. That's Thomas behind the camera. We'll see you around.
Team reverse tank.